What's happening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with yours, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I'm him. And I'm talking NBA, so I'm joined by my man Everett Terry Jr., aka Sports Talk Terry, on all social media platforms. Usually the start of the NBA season is like a joyous type thing. You're excited. You got the NBA going on. It runs parallel with the NFL kind of hitting its stride in the season. But this start to the NBA season has kind of been ho hum. And then it came in with a bang. Dallas Mavericks general manager, president. What is he? The president? He was the president, I believe. General manager, president Nico Harrison was relieved of duties this week due to the Mavericks being 3-8 at the time, allegedly. But the bigger issue for me, or the thing that caught my eye on it, is the fact that they were 3-8. I get that they're upset with him, but that the fans will not let go that they traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers. And I believe that he became the quote sacrificial lamb, so fans would embrace the new Mavericks. But I got a lot of opinions on this, and I got a lot of feelings on this, and I think it's quite hilarious because Nico knew the moment he traded Luka that he was going to be following him out that door. Like he couldn't be around basketball and not know that that player doesn't come around much. But nevertheless, I digress. I want to go back to the point. What were your thoughts? What's your opinions? What do you feel on the Nico Harrison termination?
So three things. I don't think Nico Harrison said, "Hey, let me do something that's going to ultimately get fired." I think he made a move because they had Luka for multiple years. They saw Luka's strengths and his weaknesses. Heck of a playmaker, plays with a certain pace, an offensive juggernaut, hard to guard. All these things are true. He's also erratic. He jacks a lot. Has terrible conditioning and gives you absolutely nothing on defense because he has no effort on defense, primarily because he uses all his energy on offense and he was out of shape. They tried to work with him. They tried to do this. There were rumors he liked to drink a lot. He liked to party a lot. These are all things that were floating around there, but nothing actually on the record. All of that said, they made a move to get better defensively. I think the problem is twofold. Number one, people didn't like the return that he got for Luka. Because if you tell me they trade Luka and they bring in Giannis, Dallas ain't mad. If you tell me they trade Luka and bring in Shy, Dallas ain't mad. The problem is they trade Luka for AD, who stays injured, although he had been healthy a couple years before, playing under the Bron plan. You know, the Bron fitness plan will always get guys healthy. And then the problem is he came there and immediately got hurt. And then Kyrie was hurt. And at that point, that's what sealed his fate. It was just a bad whirlwind of events. If 80 is healthy, the Mavericks make a deep run, they don't get Cooper Flag. If Cooper Flag comes in, Cooper Flag is great. He's this phenom. Everybody's excited. He has Wemby Mania or Flag Mania. Everybody's on go. He saves his job. But the fact that Cooper Flag has not looked like the kid everybody thought he was going to be coming into the league, that their struggle is trying to find a position for him to play because they want him to play point guard, which is weird because he's not played point guard. They want him to be a facilitator, to have the ball in his hands more, but that's not his strength. He prefers to play off ball and get the ball to him. And now you're asking him to facilitate. And the fact that his shot hasn't fallen at a clip that he did in college and high school, long before he reached the pros, he's not hitting at the same level of marksmanship. Those are all things that were tall tale signs. And oh, of course, 80 is hurt. 80's played what, one, 2 games this year? So that's what killed him. The fact that
uh,
you traded for a guy who's injured. The kid that you drafted to replace Luka isn't Luka, not nearly as good as Luka right now. And the team is losing, and Kyrie is still hurt, and now it's a fire sale. That's what sealed his fate. If 80's healthy, they make a run, they still somehow manage to land Cooper Flag, and Cooper Flag's playing well, he's fine. But all those things happened, and they all happened at the same time. And that's what got him kicked out of Dallas.
all right. That was a nice little soliloquy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well said. I love the references to Cooper Flag, which we'll get into in a minute. You know what got Nico Harrison fired? And just you know this, and our five viewers may know this. One of my goals in life was to be an NBA general manager, and I was headed on that path. And then I learned in my most recent stint with the Golden State Warriors that you could be the best general manager, the best talent evaluator in the NBA. If you work for an owner that is an idiot, you're not going to keep your job. If you work for a general manager who doesn't listen to you, you're not going to keep your job. So you're going to have to move your family, your kids all around because someone else isn't good at their job. I couldn't swallow that pill. Nico Harrison just learned that because this was his first stint in the NBA front office because he worked for Nike. This is what got Nico Harrison fired. This is a quote from the owner of the Dallas Mavericks the day they traded arguably top 5 player in the NBA and
Second
probably
best player in the history of their franchise.
and will go down in history, in my opinion, when it's all said and done. When you look at the wins and the losses, the championship forays, the competitive, will go down as one of the top 10 greatest players to ever play in this game. And for me, that's a huge statement because I just don't throw that around flipping. But
I gotta see him win a chip
that's a
before I start
debate.
doing that.
That's a debate for another appointment. This right now, we would agree that Luka is that guy. Like he's him. There's no debate there. He's
Yes,
him.
yes. As a Laker fan, I love it.
Focus on winning. If you look at the greats in the NBA, the people I grew up watching, MJ, Bird, Kobe, Shaq, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, it doesn't work and you shouldn't be a part of the Dallas Mavericks. Trading Luka Doncic was a decision about the future. We got the championship games and we didn't win. So we had to decide how to get better. We are very process oriented. I love that process word. White dudes love to process things. They just love to process things. We're a process oriented organization. Everything we do is without emotion. It goes through the lens of process. We're going to be held to the standard of wins and losses. Now, I don't know a lot, but I know both when I see and hear it. You traded that man because you didn't want to pay him. That's what it was all about. You had paid Kyrie a lot of money, and as sure as it's going to be cold in December, Kyrie is going to get hurt. And what happened? Kyrie got hurt. And he didn't just get hurt. He got hurt. Like, I'm going for an entire year. So you got to pay me for an entire year, the whole check, B, all of the commas, all the zeros, and I ain't going to play a game. And you watching me walk around with barely a limp. So the ball bounces, the cookie crumbles. Then AD decided to reincarnate New Orleans Anthony Davis, and he too got hurt. And Cooper Flag, while he's been solid 15-6, he ain't been special. When people are talking about this rookie class, they're talking about a guy in Charlotte and,
Nipple.
and VJ Edgecombe. Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
You're not lying.
He was the number 1 pick in the draft. He was the great hype. And he has been good, but he ain't been special. And then to salt to injury, you looking at a Lakers team that got DeAndre Ayton in the starting lineup, is missing arguably the greatest player in NBA history. And I say arguably because I don't believe there is one greatest player, but we all agree, top 5 player in NBA history. They're missing him. They got a former podcaster at Hope as coach. And them mofos are like 8-4. Luka's
Yeah,
averaging 40 plus. He's in
yeah.
shape. He
He in
looks
shape. Look,
phenomenal.
that boy look like he's 15 years old out there in shape.
He looks phenomenal. And between you and me, they ain't even figured it out yet.
No,
They
they
just
haven't.
hooping right now.
Because they got to figure out where to get Bron in there. And by the way, Austin A.R. Gunner Reeves is out there shooting the lights out the gym.
And you got Cooper Flag and so yeah, and then the fans are like, we never should have traded him. It's like, man, get over it. Well, no, we're not going to get over it because somebody got to pay for the fact that we gave him up. So what do? They doubled down. They didn't process anything. They didn't come out and say, well, this is about the future. They came out and said, we're going to get rid of Nico because we don't think we're headed in the right direction. Well, my man, you the one driving the bus. You mad at him for reading the navigation system when you should have just downloaded GPS. The moral of the story is, excuse me, the moral of the story is the owner screwed this up. And the owner did what owners always do, especially in the great city. I should say great state of Dallas, but the great city of Dallas, it ain't my fault. Jerry Jones, it ain't my fault. Patrick Dumont, it ain't
Well,
my fault.
maybe that's why Mark Cuban's stepping back in. Because apparently he's taking back some control here. He's getting back in the mix. Going to turn things
Nobody look.
around.
Look, he got his one championship. Whoop de damn do. I moved on from Mark Cuban. The moment he said guys in hoodies scare him when he walks down the street, because he ain't know damn well he ain't walking down the street in no time in his life in the last 20 years. This dude is Ubering from one corner to the next. Point is, like Nico had to know. I used to tell people this, and then I get the mic back to you. I used to tell people this. If I'm beholden to an owner, I work for an owner. Owner signs my check. I got to do what he tells me. Owner says, yo, trade Shaq. Huh? I don't want to pay Shaq. I'm going to trade Shaq. I'm trading Shaq on Monday. Monday night, I'm sending in my letter of resignation. Why? Because I know I'm not going to be here a year later. You go ask that dude in Los Angeles who traded Shaq to the Miami Heat and didn't even get an All-Star back. What his life looked like the moment
That's the
when he
problem. If Nico Harrison says we're trading Luka Doncic, the offers change dramatically. You get more than AD back. You get more
there
than
is
AD back.
nobody in the NBA that would have made that. Let's say they got Anthony Edwards, who you know I love Anthony Edwards. Giannis, Anthony Edwards. They're not Luka, man. Like Luka is a generational once, and I didn't see it when he was drafted. I didn't see it the first. The guy has right now. And shout out to Gilbert Arenas because this is crazy. He has more All NBA first teams than Steph Curry. What? This dude has been to the Western Conference Finals obviously twice, the NBA Finals already, and he's barely 26 years old. What we talking about?
And did it while out of shape and apparently on benders.
He was
Doing the
hurt.
MJ, his best impersonation of MJ.
Like this is the first off season he was relatively healthy. He was hurt and he still hoops every off. Like, look, man, look. Oh my God, look. They did it to themselves. They did
But
it to
that's why I said they
themselves.
didn't get fair trade value.
That's fine. You know what? That's fine. And that's fine. They didn't get fair trade value. You know why they didn't get fair trade value? Because you don't trade Luka Doncic. That's why. That's why. You're not. I'm gonna say something really cliche. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Dr. J ain't walking through that door. Shaq, Bill Russell ain't walking through that door. Hakeem Olajuwon ain't walking through that door. Add a name to that list that I'm missing. Because those are the only guys. Larry Bird ain't walking through. Those are the only guys. Isaiah Thomas ain't walking through that door. Those are the only guys that you trade Luka Doncic for. There is not a guy in the league right now. There is not a player right now you trade Luka Doncic for. Not one. Not
I
one.
disagree. I disagree.
That's fucking trade right now. Who's fair trade value for Luka?
Joker. Joker. Joker.
Okay,
Who's an
you
NBA
say
champion?
you say that's fine. That's
Joker.
fine.
Who's an
You
NBA
say Joker.
champion?
Okay,
And
fine.
averages a triple double.
Okay, I'll give you Joker. What's the Mavericks? What's the Nuggets record right now since they won an NBA title? What have they done? What have they done?
And they won. It doesn't matter now. They
One
won.
title. One title. You can take
Which is
Joker.
one more than what Luka has.
You're right, and you can take Joker,
And
and I
Joker's
would,
going to have 4 MVPs.
and I guarantee he'll probably have 5. He can have 6. He can have 7. I guarantee you, you trade Luka for Joker, the Nuggets win that trade, not the Mavericks. You swap those two players. Don't make that face. Don't make that face and then say Joker because there's no place you're sending Luka where you get the bet with the team that loses
Because the
Luka
pieces
wins.
around you matter. The one thing
It
that the
don't
Nuggets
matter
don't,
when Luka's on your team. Who are the
it
pieces in
do.
Who are
Hold
the
on. I'm gonna
pieces
tell
in
you.
Los Angeles? Who are the
Hold on.
pieces in
Hold on.
Los
Hold on.
Angeles?
Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna dispute that point right now, and I'm gonna tell you how. So the Lakers went and got Luka last year, right? How'd the Lakers do after they got Luka? They looked great for a while and then fizzled. And you know why? Because they didn't have the right pieces around him that could play to his style. You know what they needed? A bunch of guys who were going to do all the role player stuff. So what do? They say, Bron, go ahead, take all the time to come back and do whatever you're going to do. You're going to be the B guy here. First time in your career, you're going to knowingly walk on the floor and be the second option. They said, all right, we need a rim protector. So they go and get Ayton. a guy who can kind of play the rim protector and give you something in the low post for the lobs and the backdoor cuts. Okay, and then we need a bunch of wing 3-and-D guys and a guy who occasionally can create off the dribble. That's why they didn't get rid of AR-15. They just re-up and paid him because they said when Luka has to get a spell or we need a guy when they're doubling Luka who can still create offense, we get AR-15. But what the Lakers did is they had a conversation with Bron and said, we're going to custom fit this team to fit Luka, not you anymore. Bron was on board because he wants to win. Okay, no problem. We understand it. Him playing with Luka will add 2 more years to his career. Book what I say now. Aside from that, now the Lakers have a team around Luka. You trade Joker to Dallas, they got five centers and no guards. That's why it doesn't fit. You can't use, oh, we're going to put him here, put him there, and they're the same. They don't have the same roster. But what I'm telling you is, if I'm going one for one, the two players that I do right now, straight up for Luka, is SGA and Joker. I do it, number one, because SGA plays both sides of the floor. He never gets hurt, and he gives you maximum effort. He can win with a bunch of guys that most people outside of basketball purists don't know. That's one. And I do it for Joker because he's a 3-time MVP, NBA champion, and averages a triple-double in his sleep. Those are the only two guys I trade him for. I'll give you. There's nobody else in the league I trade him for. Giannis is old and gets hurt a lot, and there's a couple other guys out here who are struggling. But I get it. Beside that, no. And that's fair. But again, nobody expected Luka to go shed 25 pounds, come back in basketball shape, and be different because when he got to LA, he was the same fat, slow Luka who played no defense. Now you got a guy who looks a lot better.
Okay. Let's go back now. I'll just wait thing now. I will say this again until my shirt is blue. He was hurt. He was hurt. That's why he struggled. That's why he struggled with his weight. Has he been the poster child prior to that in physical peak? Was he where he needed to be physically? I will give you that he should have been better. But to say that he was somehow always tired, this is a dude that was relatively healthy, was durable, that played games. My bigger issue, or the big issue that most people have, is he didn't look the part like he was physically there. And defensively, I don't really trip out on defense. One of my favorite players is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson used to get torched on the defensive end. People want to act like Allen Iverson didn't torch Jordan when he was in Chicago, not just when he was. They had to act like Jordan didn't get torched too. The bottom line is the days of the lockdown, both ends of the court player are over with. Players are too good offensively these days. It's just a fact. Players are phenomenal offensive talents. So to ask a guy to devote all that attention defensively just doesn't happen. Can he be a functional, good defensive team player? Yes, and he has been. Now, going back to your point about the guys you'll trade for him, you're you're living in a bubble in the sense that you're saying these guys won championships, so that's why you make that trade. And on the
No,
surface,
that's not the
that's not
only reason.
okay. Why are you adding SGA to that conversation?
SGA is one of the best players in basketball on the free world. What do you mean?
But he's not better than Luka.
Come on, man.
He's
Come
not
on.
better than
I'm
Luka.
gonna ask one question. What is it that Luka does better than SGA? And then I'll ask you what SGA does better than Luka. We can have that conversation because they can
All
both
right, you
score.
know what? We'll have that conversation on a different show. We'll have that
Okay.
conversation because that'll eat up the entire time. I disagree with that, but going to the crutch of your argument, those are your two players. I'll concede that and move on for the sake of the point. For the sake of the point we're trying to make. What I'm saying is, you're not going to be better getting rid of Luka. There's a very small window for you to be better getting rid of Luka. And to turn around and trade your general manager after you just said you're processing and you're future orientated, or you're looking for the future,
Yeah,
when
they didn't believe in him. Yeah.
and not only did they, well, he was a scapegoat, but they didn't have a plan, because you can't look to the future and re-up Anthony Davis. You can't look to the future and expect Kyrie Irving to be a part of that. Those are players that I don't say in twilight, but they're on the other side of their career.
I
Cooper
agree.
Flag, Cooper Flag is your future. Cooper Flag isn't struggling. He's just a rookie right now. The problem is he's not special, and Luka was
Right.
special, and
If he were
that's where
special, we wouldn't be having this convo.
it's like most of the rookies that come in nowadays are good players. They're just not special, because special doesn't walk through that door often. And for everything we said, the disagreement joker, SGA, who you make a move, we do agree on this one point. Luka is mother special.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank, period. He's special. And when you get rid of him, if you pass on him, as the Sacramento Kings, you pass on him, you're going to spend the next decade, in this case, half a decade, ruining the day. Ruining the day. Final segments to you. Final word to you.
I agree with you that special doesn't walk through the door every day. There's not a bunch of Wimbies coming out. I love AJ coming out of BYU. I love the Boozer Boys. They could both be very, very good in the league. Who knows what they're going to look like? But right now, that's still a year or two away. I think the biggest mistake in this deal is that you didn't get good value for Luka. People would have accepted if you trade Luka and you got AD, uh, and let's say you got AD, AR-15, and 3 firsts. Nobody's arguing with that. Nobody's, and you still get Cooper Flag because now you got pieces to build on. But when you get AD off first and a bunch of throw-ins, no. Especially when AD is the big cornerstone piece of the deal and he stays hurt. He's a B player at this point in his career. He's never going to get back to the guy that he was when he was dominant in New Orleans while he was healthy. He's a good player, not a great one. Luka's a great one. That's what killed him in this trade. And that's what killed Nico. Because in order for you to trade great, you got to get great back, or at least a promise of great. And while Cooper might be great, he hasn't shown it, and that's what people are angry about.
I don't think you. We're gonna disagree on the value of it, but I don't think you. I feel like Nico was given instructions to make a deal and do it quickly and quietly, and he went with a deal that I don't have a problem because there's nothing you're gonna get for Luca that's gonna change. That's gonna drastically. There's nothing that you're gonna do for Luca that's gonna take you back to the Western Conference Finals. And the West is wide open this year. Now we got to switch gears because I want to touch on another topic. I think it's hilarious that they traded him, that they did that. Now, two things I wanted to get on, but one is interesting. Chris Finch is doing an interview with the Zach Lowe podcast, and I know you
Yeah.
have heard the phrase "there's a lot of truth said in jest," right? He made a comment that was supposed to be in jest about JJ Reddick, and the comment essentially was, "People are going to go home and do their podcast now," and Zach Lowe says that's going to make them qualified. He says, "Well, it doesn't make them qualified to do anything except to go coach the Los Angeles Lakers." Now, I'm gonna borrow a phrase from my daughter. Where's the lie? Floor is yours.
Here's the thing. I definitely felt that JJ Reddick at the time of the hire was unqualified to be an NBA coach because he never coached at any level. I will give you that. There's guys who put their time in, who put their bones in. We constantly talk about guys like Sam Cassell, who's never had a chance to coach a team, who has the knowledge, has the pedigree, etc. But on the same token,
I'm getting comfortable for the level of crap you about to throw at me. Go ahead.
well, no, at the same token, say what you want. JJ Reddick is not a bad coach.
Here we go.
How they found it, the hand in the jar, talking to LeBron getting his one last pull of power, I don't know. But JJ Redick is not a bad coach.
Here we
There
go.
are worse coaches in the NBA. And what
No,
JJ Brown,
go
huh?
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
And
ahead.
what JJ Redick is doing in the way that he evaluates the game, his knowledge of the game, he's always been a sharp dude. He understands it. He has a good basketball acumen. Listen, I was worried it was going to be Steve Nash 2.0, and it hasn't been that. So I won't totally kill him. Do I feel it was a little bit of privilege involved in him getting there? Yes. But do I hate the move? No, because you know what? Results matter. The Lakers are in the mix. They still don't have LeBron. They're one of the top 5 teams in the West. They're going to go far because of the Luka trade, obviously, but because of the fact that he's using those pieces, plugging guys into the right spot, has them kind of buying in, and they're playing good basketball. Say what you
Okay.
want.
I am going to say what I want, and I'm going to start with this: saying there are worse people is not it's not a commitment to you. It's not a ringing endorsement of you. Well, he's not the worst. She's not the worst looking girl at the bar. It doesn't matter. We want the best. Now, going back to JJ, he wasn't qualified for the job. He hasn't done a good job. That team had Luka Doncic and LeBron James. See, that, my friend, is what we in the industry call a setup. I set your ass up. You know how I set you up? I let you sit here and tell me Luka didn't do diddly poo in the playoffs and the Lakers struggled. And then I Circle right back around and brought you back to JJ Redick. You can say he did a good job. You can't have one without the other, brother. You can't say Luka struggled and they didn't do a good job, but JJ did a good job. You can't have that. They struggled. They disappointed last year in the playoffs. They had LeBron James and Luka Doncic and couldn't get out of the first round of the playoffs. And not only could they not get out, the guy who beat them, here's where it gets fun. The guy who beat them is now laughing at you because he knows you weren't qualified for that job. And he knew that by sitting down and watching film of your sets, knowing your patterns, knowing your timeouts, knowing how you adjust stuff. We listened to his huddles. Come on, we're not competing. How does that help you get better? We need to rebound better. Duh, we knew that. Where's the X's and O's? Where's the strategy? You roast Doc Rivers anytime we talk about anything. The first thing you say is Doc's always had talent. He had Luka. He had LeBron. Couldn't get out of the first round. Floor is yours.
So you don't think the guys need a chance to gel?
Exactly.
Didn't you just say Luka was hurt? Like, you got to pick your struggle. You can't say Luka was hurt and that guys need time to gel, and then it's all of a sudden he had him and he should have won in
I
spite
never
of.
said guys need time to gel. Those words never, because I don't
No,
subscribe
but
to that
who
theory.
doesn't say that players need time to gel and learn new schemes and play in a different mindset? You can't just pick up a ball and go play. Like, that's not.
Yes,
It's
you
not.
can.
We're not
Yes,
playing at the
you
YMCA
can.
30 and under league.
Yes, you
We're
can.
playing in the NBA. We're playing in the NBA. You need
I got
you need plan. You need schemes.
I got President Obama online too. He told me to tell you, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because we're not talking about low basketball IQs. No, on a serious note, though. Serious note. And I didn't say you because I don't believe in the time to gel. I believe that in other sports, not in basketball, because guys play so much basketball. The issue I've had with JJ Redick and what I've always had with JJ Redick is I feel like while he may know the game, he can't teach the game. And you say, well, what's the difference? Every NBA coach who's ever graced a sideline has a high basketball IQ. It's can they relay that information in a functional manner to these players to get them to maximize their ability. That's where he struggles because he comes from a place of privilege. And I'm not talking about white privilege. That's not what I'm talking about when I say place of privilege. I'm talking about he comes from a place where expectations were never high for him. So if he came in third, or if he wasn't the worst coach, he was considered to be doing a great job. And that's always been the issue. The guys he has on that team are first round picks outside of AR, are guys that have all had expectations with them, and they haven't reached those expectations. Then it comes disappointment. I found the reason why the comment resonated with me was because it came from the guy who just studied you. That's that you
He
shake
was
your head,
throwing a dig. He was throwing a dig, and that's okay. But
but
let's see how they do this year. Let's just see how they do this year.
well,
Before
I
we
think
crush
this
them,
year.
let's see how the Lakers do this year.
No, you're fair. It's a fair point. And I believe this year the Lakers, I do believe they go to the Western Conference Finals. But
Me too.
I think it's in spite of JJ Redick, not
Good
because of him.
night. Good
Final
night.
word. Final word is yours.
I don't have a final word. I already said, listen, let's see how the Lakers do this year with JJ Reddick, with a full season of getting him, Luka, and LeBron on the team for 82. Well, when LeBron comes back, it'll be 70 or 60. And then let's see how they go with a roster that's actually built to compete and see what adjustments JJ Reddick makes when teams start the game plan against them and create offensive sets to stop what they like to do. And if he adjusts properly and puts things in the right place, then cool. If he doesn't, then hey, you know what? Kudos, you're right.
I don't think you mentioned Sam Cassell, and I'm very high on Sam Cassell. You know, I think Sam Cassell's a great coach. I don't think there's an adjustment that JJ Redick could. I'll put it to you like this. I had to take him and put it to you like this. Isaiah Thomas once had a great quote about LeBron James. He said he's never had a great head coach who was smarter than him. And when you think about that, that's the problem. JJ Redick, you're saying he's going to make adjustments. There's nothing he's going to see that LeBron isn't already seen. And there's nothing that he's going to bring and figure out that Luka hasn't already figured out. So what they needed JJ Redick to do was be a guy who saw something different. They needed him to have that triangle offense. They needed him to have, I'm trying to think of another great NBA coach that they needed him to institute the fast break. They needed him to have something innovative because he had the Michael Jordans, the Bill Russells. He has the smartest players in the game on his team. So he has to be that level or above, and he's not. And that's what Chris Finch knew. He knew that attrition, fatigue were going to set in on LeBron and Luka. And he saw the basic rudimentary things that JJ Reddick was doing. And it's not just JJ Reddick. I mean, Doc Rivers wouldn't have gotten them much further last year because there's few coaches, and you would know this better than me because I'm drawing a blank that could rival Luka and LeBron's basketball IQ, and that's what you have to do to get them to win. Spoelstra, maybe you can't think of anybody else smarter than him that knows the game knows the game more than him. Because just because you play the game doesn't mean you know the game. All right, final. This is seriously a final word on you. Do you believe when JJ Redick's coaching career is done, he will be looked at as one of the better coaches of his era? Not better, not best ever or top whatever. Just one of the better coaches in his era.
I think he'll be looked at as a good coach. I think he'll be looked at better than Mike Brown.
Yeah,
And
that's a
Mike
fair.
Brown has coached LeBron multiple times. He's
Yeah,
been
that's
to
a
the
fair point.
finals. He's done all these things and had all these teams. I think he'll be a better regarded coach than Mike Brown.
That's a fair point. We got 5 minutes left. See if we can do this in 3 minutes. Are the Warriors cooked? Yes.
No, they're not. No. Here's why.
That
As
is
long as you got
awesome.
Steph
That's
Curry,
awesome.
as long as you got a healthy Steph Curry, you're always in the game. There's no listen. Steph Curry be 70 years old in a wheelchair, and he'll still outshoot 99% of the people walking on planet Earth. So, as long as Steph Curry can walk up and down and shoot a ball out of his hand, you're never out of a game. But the problem is the offense isn't as balanced as it was when he had Clay as his running mate. He now needs Jimmy Butler to be a 22 to 25 point per game guy, and Jimmy ain't really that. Not during the regular
19.
season.
19.
And there it is. You got Jonathan Kaminga, who we don't know what the hell they're doing with him. We don't know if we want to keep him, we want to trade him, we want to be the guy, we don't want to be the guy. He wants to run the second unit, first unit. I don't know. Draymond being Draymond. You got a bunch of young guys, Moody, plus Gimsky, or whatever his name is. You got a bunch of these guys running around who are okay guys, who might be good guys. You got rid of Jordan Poole, who was instant offense because he couldn't get along with Draymond because Draymond was an idiot. Okay, cool. So now it's like, where does the spark come from when Curry has an off night? Who's going to get the buckets for you? You don't have anybody. I mean, Clay out here cooked because he's all up on Megan Thee Stallion, and God bless him. Happy for him. I don't envy the man one bit. Listen, I wouldn't mind being in his spot, but I'm not. At the end of the day,
Okay. Okay.
you don't
Okay.
have that guy. So all you have is Steph Curry. That's the only guy on offense teams have to game plan for. They're going to say, all right, we're going to let Jimmy shoot. Now what do? We let Jimmy shoot. We take Steph out the game. Where else do you go? You don't have a Kevin Durant. You don't have a Klay Thompson. Where else do you go? You can limit their offense. That's the problem. But as long as they find ways to keep letting Steph shoot 25 to 35 times a game, they'll never be out of a game because he's going to make enough threes to keep you in it. Always.
I believe they're cooked. And the reason why I think they're cooked is because they're old. It's just that simple.
That's
And
fair.
right now, it's like, oh well, they're old, they're taking their season, they're pacing themselves. Let me tell you, as a dude that's gotten old, that pacing ourselves, that's a load of crap. We're tired. We're tired. It's just, I mean,
We just
and it
talked about
takes
this.
us. We did, and it takes us a while to get there. And then once we get there, we don't stay long. That's part of being old. So that's why I say they're cooked. It's not that the Warriors don't have the talent or don't have the. It's not that the Warriors are bad. Kaminga got dropped into a bad situation, but as a team, they're a solid team. They're just old, and it's gonna take them. It's gonna take a good 15 minutes to get that Chevrolet ready to go. But once you get it to go, it's gonna burn gas at a 2 mile per hour, 2 miles per tank clip. That's what happens when you get old. You burn gas a lot faster, and you don't last any longer. That's how it goes. That's why they're cooked because they're old. It's not rocket science. They're really old too. Like they're not just basketball old. They're life old. Like they look old. So it's not a matter of being cooked.
Everybody in their starting lineup, for the most part, has grays in their face.
Making this up. I am a resident of the old club. I can tell you, we just tired. We ain't pacing nothing. We tired. I'm hungry. My feet hurt. I'm ready to go. And you got
My back a
Baczynski.
little sore. I ain't even do
You got
nothing.
Baczynski, Kaminga. These just want to run around all day.
Go ahead,
So
come on. Bring them young boys in. They go right to the bench, yo.
yeah, and they're not even about them running. It's not even about them going. It's like where you running to? When they ain't running 100 miles per hour, bro, you better get some DoorDash and have it delivered. I ain't getting up off this couch. That's what being old is taking advantage of your resources because you ain't got it anymore. And I hate to say this, fellas, the Warriors ain't got it anymore because they old. That's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever your platform allows you to do. He's Everett Terry Jr., aka Sports Talk Terry, on all social media platforms. I am Kwame Fisher Jones. Until next time, we appreciate your time here. You be easy.